Hello, Shalom Aleichem. Welcome back for another verse, one verse a week. This week's parsha is Parshat Vayishlach. That corresponds to Genesis 32:4 through 36:43. This video corresponds to the Jewish reading cycle for the year of 5779. Now, this I know it's called one verse a week. For some reason, I actually wound up making two videos for this series for this week, so I'm passing this on as a bonus. I already made the material, so I might as well record it. Okay, if you find these videos interesting, useful, I hope you'll consider subscribing to this channel. If you feel like they're worthy of your support, I hope you'll follow the links below in the description to become a Patreon or to make a small donation via PayPal or Venmo. Okay, let us proceed. Okay, for this installment, we're doing the verse Genesis 35:20. So let's give it a read. V'yatsev Yaakov matzeva al kavurata hi matzevet kavurat Rachel ad hayom. One more time. Vayatsev Yaakov matzeva al kavurata hi matzevet kavurat Rachel ad hayom. Okay, so you will see that this this verse is very repetitious. It has lots of the same sounds. So, of course, by now you should know that the vaya, this sort of prefix here, is a good sign that this is a verb. So we'll exclude this for now. So Yaakov is of course Jacob, and Rachel is of course Rachel. Okay, so a matzeva is a pillar or a monument. A pillar or a monument. And we'll discuss this further when we discuss the verbs. You'll see this verb here and this word here are very similar. So this is a monument. Al, I should have included that. Al means on or over. I should have included this down here. I'm sorry. Al kavurata. For an Ashkenaz, it's kavurasa. So this comes from the word kever, which means grave or tomb. So this is possessive. This is female possessive, feminine possessive. So this is her. Kavurasa would mean her grave. So you have Yaakov doing something to a matzeva, a monument, al, over or on. I prefer over. Kavurasa, on her grave. He, which would normally mean she, refers to matzeva, the feminine word. She, or as we would say in English, it. He, it, matzevet, kuvurat, Rachel. This is sort of this double smichut form that we've seen a couple times before. It's the matzeva of the grave of Rachel. Matzevet, kuvurat, Rachel. The monument of the grave of Rachel. Ad, until hayom, the day, or today, as it would translate better here. Today. So Moses was writing this, and up until the time of Moses' writing, that spot was a well-known place. Of course, there's a well-known Kever Rachel in Israel today, but it was certainly known in the time of Moshe, So he refers to it as being the well-known place even today, meaning in his day, the time of the writing of the Torah. Okay, one more time. V'yatzev Yaakov. Yaakov did something. Matzeva to a matzeva. Al, on or over. Kuvurata, the kever, her grave, her tomb. It is Matzevet Kuvurat Rachel, the monument of the grave of Rachel. Ahad, until Hayom, today. Okay, so let's look at that verb. Here's the verb, separated from its prefix. The shorish is nun tzadi vet, mitzav, means to, excuse me, to stand something up or to erect something. It has the yud prefix, which would normally indicate what we would translate as future tense. It would normally indicate a future tense, he. So he stood. The vav here is a flipping vav. It flips the tense of the verb, makes it into past. So, and he stood, or and he erected. Excuse me. And he erected. So, one of the things we notice here, again, I took pains to show you that we have this shorish here in the verb, also appears here in the noun, monument. Monument is essentially, think of most monuments you know, and they're essentially things that are meant to be around a long time. And how would one do that? One would basically stand up a stone. Stand up a stone, scratch some words into it. So, V'yatzev Yaakov matzeva. Yaakov stood up a matzeva, or he erected a matzeva. So, in Hebrew, this isn't always the case, but a good clue is when we see a shorish that we recognize the verb form of. If we see a mem in front of it, that will frequently, as long as it's not min or meh, meaning from, as long as we, if it doesn't have any prefixes, if the mem is not a prefix, if the mem is actually part of the word, then it's a reasonable guess that that is somehow a verb that has been turned into a noun. So a matzeva is basically it's a standing stone. It's a noun form of the verb v'yatzev. Okay, so let's put it all together. V'yatzev Yaakov, Yaakov erected, or he stood up. Matzeva, a standing stone, a monument. Al kuvrata, on the kever, on her grave. It is matzevet, the monument of kuvurat, the grave of Rachel. Ad hayom, until today. Again, today refers to the time of the writing of the Torah, meaning when Moshe was writing it. Okay, let us go look at my translation. And Yaakov erected a monument over her grave. It is the monument of the tomb of Rachel until today. Okay, pretty much what I said. Let's compare to some other translations. KJV, and Jacob set up a pillar upon her grave. Okay, that is the pillar of Rachel's grave unto this day. Okay, reasonable, pretty reasonable. NIV, over her tomb, Jacob set up a pillar. And to this day, that pillar marks Rachel's tomb. So the NIV has totally, and I have no idea why they did this. I don't even think it necessarily enhances the readability of the verse. But they've inverted the sentence. inverted the verse, the Hebrew. The Hebrew says, again, let's look at the Hebrew. V'yetzav Yaakov, Yaakov stood up, matzeva, a standing stone, al kuvarata, over her grave. NIV renders it, over her tomb, al kuvarata, and then Jacob set up a pillar. Yep, Jacob set up a pillar. So they totally invert this. And to this day, that pillar marks Rachel's tomb. So marks is a verb that is not anywhere in this sentence, in this verse. And they invert the second half also. Let's take a look at it. It is, Matzevet, the monument, Kavurat, of the grave of Rachel, Ad Hayom, until today. So until today is here. Incidentally, if we wanted to say until this day, we'd say Ad Hayom Hazeh, meaning this day. This merely says until today. Okay, so we see that Ad Hayom appears at the end of the verse. The NIV translates it, the second clause, and to this day. That pillar marks Rachel's tomb. So they invert the sentence. I have no idea why they do that. I'm not particularly fond. I want to leave the structure of the sentences as close as possible to the original Hebrew. Okay, let's look at NRSV. NRSV goes back to a little more, follows the Hebrew a bit better. And Jacob set up a pillar at her grave. So at, on would be better. It is the pillar of Rachel's tomb. Okay, which is there to this day. Is not the best translation. You should say is the pillar of the Rachel's tomb until today. But whatever, this is all in all not the worst. It doesn't just totally turn the sentence upside down like the NIV does. Okay, let's look at the JPS. JPS, similarly guilty as the NIV is, and I find that frequently the JPS will mirror the NIV. So you draw whatever conclusions you will from that. But the JPS, over her grave, Jacob set up a pillar. Again, al kuvarata is at the end of the first clause, and they turn it around and put it at the beginning of the first clause. It is the pillar of Rachel's grave to this day. Okay, that's not awful. So they only go halfway in turning the sentence upside down, inverting the clauses. So the first clause gets turned backwards, but the second clause is not is more or less left alone. Finally, the stone, the art scroll Chumash. Jacob set up a monument over her grave. Again, I prefer over, al, meaning over, or on. It is the monument of Rachel's grave until today. It is a monument of Rachel's grave until today. That pretty much matches the Hebrew perfectly. So let's see how that compares to my translation. And Yaakov erected a monument over her grave. It is the monument of the tomb of Rachel until today. The art scroll, Jacob set up the monument over her grave. It is the monument of Rachel's grave until today. Okay. Reasonable translation, very literal, preserves the order of the Hebrew. So it looks like this time the stone and the KJV are going to be the better translations of of what the Hebrew literally says. Okay, I hope you have benefited from this lesson. It was a bit of a bonus lesson. Again, I don't know why I prepared two of them on the same parsha, but instead of just not doing it, I figured I would pass it on to you guys. Okay, Kol Tov, Hatzlacha Rabba, Keep learning.